Hey, implicit connotations. Well, I'm Elise from the Crowdfunded Translation Project, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. The Inessa Armand project. After finishing Kalantai's social basis of the female question, I put out a call for suggestions for the next project. One of those suggestions that I received was to translate the essays and letters of Inessa Armand, Kalantai's predecessor at the Bolshevik women's section. Suppressed by Stalin and never translated into English, Armand's writings enrich our understanding of the Bolshevik women's movement in the run-up to the October Revolution and the early days of revolutionary Russia. With your support, I have been able to translate all of her extant essays and am currently raising the last $1,950 to cover the cost of translating the remainder of her extant works, which at this point is just her correspondence. If you would like to support the project, all contributions are beautiful. You'll find links in the description. The Punto Final project is a project that is really just at its inception. Punto Final, for those unfamiliar with it, i.e. likely most of the people watching this right now, was a magazine edited by Manuel Caviese Donoso that ran from 1965 to the eve of the 1973 CIA-backed coup in Chile, and then from 1989 to 2018, publishing a grand total of 894 issues. In addition to being a platform for theoretical and ideological debate, they were also a source of excellent political journalism. Their real-time analysis of political developments in Chile, the rise of the Unidad Popular, the looming coup, and the limits of electoralism has aged extremely well, and is well worth reading for anyone interested in the period. The Indian left is sort of in a media bubble, and the Anglosphere left really doesn't do a great job of breaking that bubble and really building connections there. So the discussion that you hear in English about Chile, even in supposed left outlets, such as Jargon, often has little or nothing to do with the state of discussion amongst comrades in Chile. So this is part of my attempts to contribute to sort of breaking down that bubble and fostering some understanding of the thought amongst revolutionaries in Chile, both historically and currently. I have so far translated 7 articles, including a long read on electoralism versus armed struggle called Chile, the Ballot or the Bullet by Punto Final editor Manuel Caviese, and currently am working on various pieces of political analysis from the eve of the electoral campaign that would bring Salvador Allende to power, or at least to government. These include discussions of electoral versus revolutionary strategy and how and to what extent these things can coexist, discussions of US imperialist interference in Chilean politics, One of the challenges of this project, since its inception, has been getting the word out. The billionaire-controlled black box algorithms that dominate our lives don't like small creators or small projects. Nor are they particularly keen on ideological viewpoints that are inconsistent with the whims of billionaires. What's more, they positively detest anyone who isn't paying for reach. And then they turn around and make it ever harder to do even that in a useful way. The result of all this is that there are definitely considerably more people who would be interested in this project than actually see any of my posts about it. And that's why I have a small favor to ask you. Tell your friends about the crowdfunded translation project. Share the completed translations, link the Patreon and the Facebook pages. All those links are in the description. Let people know that this project exists and what it's all about. Let them know that I want to hear their ideas for future crowdfunded translation projects at crowdfunded_translations@elisehendrick.com. And if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Ultimately, the crowdfunded translation project is for us all. The whole idea is to translate texts that have fallen through the cracks by making it economically viable for a professional translator, i.e. me, to work on them and to make the results freely available to everyone. I think that a lot of great things are coming out of the project, and even more can result from it yet. But it all depends on making the project visible to the people who might benefit from it and consider supporting it. Thank you for watching for this length of time. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope that it will encourage you to get in touch with the crowdfunded translation project, look at our translations, to get in touch with, to get involved with the crowdfunded translation project. Make suggestions, read the translations, let people know that this exists. This could be a great resource, but it's been a real fucker trying to get the word out about it. So thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Hey, implicit connotations. I'm Elise from the Crowdfunded Translation Project, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. The Inessa Armand project. After finishing Kalantai's social basis of the female question, I put out a call for suggestions for the next project. One of those suggestions that I received was to translate the essays and letters of Inessa Armand, Kalantai's predecessor at the Bolshevik women's section. Suppressed by Stalin and never translated into English, Armand's writings enrich our understanding of the Bolshevik women's movement in the run-up to the October Revolution and the early days of revolutionary Russia. With your support, I have been able to translate all of her extant essays and am currently raising the last $1,950 to cover the cost of translating the remainder of her extant works, which at this point is just her correspondence. If you would like to support the project, all contributions are beautiful. You'll find links in the description. The Punto Final project is a project that is really just at its inception. Punto Final, for those unfamiliar with it, i.e. likely most of the people watching this right now, was a magazine edited by Manuel Caviese Donoso that ran from 1965 to the eve of the 1973 CIA-backed coup in Chile, and then from 1989 to 2018, publishing a grand total of 894 issues. In addition to being a platform for theoretical and ideological debate, they were also a source of excellent political journalism. Their real-time analysis of political developments in Chile, the rise of the Unidad Popular, the looming coup, and the limits of electoralism has aged extremely well, and is well worth reading for anyone interested in the period. The Chilean left is sort of in a media bubble, and the Anglosphere left really doesn't do a great job of breaking that bubble and really building connections there. So the discussion that you hear in English about Chile, even in supposed left outlets, such as CROWDFUNDED, often has little or nothing to do with the state of discussion amongst comrades in Chile. So this is part of my attempts to contribute to sort of breaking down that bubble and fostering some understanding of the thought amongst revolutionaries in Chile, both historically and currently. I have so far translated 7 articles, including a long read on electoralism versus armed struggle called Chile, the Ballot or the Bullet by Punto Final editor Manuel Cabiese, and currently am working on various pieces of political analysis from the eve of the electoral campaign that would bring Salvador Allende to power, or at least to government. These include discussions of electoral versus revolutionary strategy and how and to what extent these things can coexist, discussions of US imperialist interference in Chilean politics, One of the challenges of this project, since its inception, has been getting the word out. The billionaire-controlled black box algorithms that dominate our lives don't like small creators or small projects. Nor are they particularly keen on ideological viewpoints that are inconsistent with the whims of billionaires. What's more, they positively detest anyone who isn't paying for reach. And then they turn around and make it ever harder to do even that in a useful way. The result of all this is that there are definitely considerably more people who would be interested in this project than actually see any of my posts about it. And that's why I have a small favor to ask you. Tell your friends about the crowdfunded translation project. Share the completed translations, link the Patreon and the Facebook pages. All those links are in the description. Let people know that this project exists and what it's all about. Let them know that I want to hear their ideas for future crowdfunded translation projects at crowdfunded_translations@elisehendrick.com. And if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Ultimately, the crowdfunded translation project is for us all. The whole idea is to translate texts that have fallen through the cracks by making it economically viable for a professional translator, i.e. me, to work on them and to make the results freely available to everyone. I think that a lot of great things are coming out of the project, and even more can result from it yet. But it all depends on making the project visible to the people who might benefit from it and consider supporting it. Thank you for watching for this length of time. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope that it will encourage you to get in touch with the crowdfunded translation project, look at our translations, to get in touch with, to get involved with the crowdfunded translation project. Make suggestions, read the translations, let people know that this exists. This could be a great resource, but it's been a real fucker trying to get the word out about it. So thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Hey, implicit connotations. Well, I'm Elise from the Crowdfunded Translation Project, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. The Inessa Armand project. After finishing Kalantai's social basis of the female question, I put out a call for suggestions for the next project. One of those suggestions that I received was to translate the essays and letters of Inessa Armand, Kalantai's predecessor at the Bolshevik Women's section. Suppressed by Stalin and never translated into English, Armand's writings enrich our understanding of the Bolshevik women's movement in the run-up to the October Revolution and the early days of revolutionary Russia. With your support, I have been able to translate all of her extant essays and am currently raising the last $1,950 to cover the cost of translating the remainder of her extant works, which at this point is just her correspondence. If you would like to support the project, all contributions are beautiful. You'll find links in the description. The Punto Final project is a project that is really just at its inception. Punto Final, for those unfamiliar with it, i.e. likely most of the people watching this right now, was a magazine edited by Manuel Caviese Donoso that ran from 1965 to the eve of the 1973 CIA-backed coup in Chile, and then from 1989 to 2018, publishing a grand total of 894 issues. In addition to being a platform for theoretical and ideological debate, they were also a source of excellent political journalism. Their real-time analysis of political developments in Chile, the rise of the Unidad Popular, the looming coup, and the limits of electoralism has aged extremely well, and is well worth reading for anyone interested in the period. The Indian left is sort of in a media bubble, and the Anglosphere left really doesn't do a great job of breaking that bubble and really building connections there. So the discussion that you hear in English about Chile, even in supposed left outlets, such as Jargon, often has little or nothing to do with the state of discussion amongst comrades in Chile. So this is part of my attempts to contribute to sort of breaking down that bubble and fostering some understanding of the thought amongst revolutionaries in Chile, both historically and currently. I have so far translated 7 articles, including a long read on electoralism versus armed struggle called Chile, the Ballot or the Bullet by Punto Final editor Manuel Caviese, and currently am working on various pieces of political analysis from the eve of the electoral campaign that would bring Salvador Allende to power, or at least to government. These include discussions of electoral versus revolutionary strategy and how and to what extent these things can coexist, discussions of US imperialist interference in Chilean politics, One of the challenges of this project, since its inception, has been getting the word out. The billionaire-controlled black box algorithms that dominate our lives don't like small creators or small projects. nor are they particularly keen on ideological viewpoints that are inconsistent with the whims of billionaires. What's more, they positively detest anyone who isn't paying for reach, and then they turn around and make it ever harder to do even that in a useful way. The result of all this is that there are definitely considerably more people who would be interested in this project than actually see any of my posts about it. And that's why I have a small favor to ask you. Tell your friends about the crowdfunded translation project. Share the completed translations, link the Patreon and the Facebook pages. All those links are in the description. Let people know that this project exists and what it's all about. Let them know that I want to hear their ideas for future crowdfunded translation projects at crowdfunded_translations@elisehendrick.com. And if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Ultimately, the crowdfunded translation project is for us all. The whole idea is to translate texts that have fallen through the cracks by making it economically viable for a professional translator, i.e. me, to work on them and to make the results freely available to everyone. I think that a lot of great things are coming out of the project, and even more can result from it yet. But it all depends on making the project visible to the people who might benefit from it and consider supporting it. Thank you for watching for this length of time. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope that it will encourage you to get in touch with the crowdfunded translation project, look at our translations, to get in touch with, to get involved with the crowdfunded translation project. Make suggestions, read the translations, let people know that this exists. This could be a great resource, but it's been a real fucker trying to get the word out about it. So thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Hey, implicit connotations. I'm Elise from the Crowdfunded Translation Project, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. The Inessa Armand project. After finishing Kalantai's social basis of the female question, I put out a call for suggestions for the next project. One of those suggestions that I received was to translate the essays and letters of Inessa Armand, Kalantai's predecessor at the Bolshevik Women's section. Suppressed by Stalin and never translated into English, Armand's writings enrich our understanding of the Bolshevik women's movement in the run-up to the October Revolution and the early days of revolutionary Russia. With your support, I have been able to translate all of her extant essays and am currently raising the last $1,950 to cover the cost of translating the remainder of her extant works, which at this point is just her correspondence. If you would like to support the project, all contributions are beautiful. You'll find links in the description. The Punto Final project is a project that is really just at its inception. Punto Final, for those unfamiliar with it, i.e. likely most of the people watching this right now, was a platform for theoretical and ideological debate. They were also a source of excellent political journalism. Their real-time analysis of political developments in Chile, the rise of the Unidad Popular, the looming coup, and the limits of electoralism has aged extremely well, and is well worth reading for anyone interested in the period. The Chilean left is sort of in a media bubble, and the Anglosphere left really doesn't do a great job of breaking that bubble and really building connections there. So the discussion that you hear in English about Chile, even in supposed left outlets, such as CROWDFUNDED, often has little or nothing to do with the state of discussion amongst comrades in Chile. So this is part of my attempts to contribute to sort of breaking down that bubble and fostering some understanding of the thought amongst revolutionaries in Chile, both historically and currently. I have so far translated 7 articles, including a long read on electoralism versus armed struggle called Chile, the Ballot or the Bullet by Punto Final editor Manuel Cabiese, and currently am working on various pieces of political analysis from the eve of the electoral campaign that would bring Salvador Allende to power, or at least to government. These include discussions of electoral versus revolutionary strategy and how and to what extent these things can coexist, discussions of US imperialist interference in Chilean politics, one of the challenges of this project, since its inception, has been getting the word out. The billionaire-controlled black box algorithms that dominate our lives don't like small creators or small projects. Nor are they particularly keen on ideological viewpoints that are inconsistent with the whims of billionaires. What's more, they positively detest anyone who isn't paying for reach. And then they turn around and make it ever harder to do even that in a useful way. The result of all this is that there are definitely considerably more people who would be interested in this project than actually see any of my posts about it. And that's why I have a small favor to ask you. Tell your friends about the crowdfunded translation project. Share the completed translations, link the Patreon and the Facebook pages. All those links are in the description. Let people know that this project exists and what it's all about. Let them know that I want to hear their ideas for future crowdfunded translation projects at crowdfunded_translations@elisehendrick.com. And if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Ultimately, the crowdfunded translation project is for us all. The whole idea is to translate texts that have fallen through the cracks by making it economically viable for a professional translator, i.e. me, to work on them and to make the results freely available to everyone. I think that a lot of great things are coming out of the project, and even more can result from it yet. But it all depends on making the project visible to the people who might benefit from it and consider supporting it. Thank you for watching for this length of time. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope that it will encourage you to get in touch with the crowdfunded translation project, look at our translations, to get in touch with, to get involved with the crowdfunded translation project. Make suggestions, read the translations, let people know that this exists. This could be a great resource, but it's been a real fucker trying to get the word out about it. So thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Thank you very much. even watching this and commenting and leaving a like or and sharing it on your platforms or even to yourself in an email apparently will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much and see you on the next stream. Hey, implicit connotation.
Hello and welcome to Hyperpolyglotting with Elise. I'm Elise, translator, writer, and editor with 20 working languages, and here's the stream where we just kind of want to learn all the languages. So, how's everybody doing today? Now, there's a couple of videos I'm interested in checking out today. This one is Inside Japan with Sasuke, a channel I haven't really seen much of. It's been showing up in my recs lately. Why 99% of Japanese learners fail and how to not be one of them. So, let's see what the advice is. I like the I like this the thumbnail there with
every year thousands of
fuck
people
learning
start
Japanese.
learning Japanese. They are excited. They have a dream to go to Japan, walk through the street, and speak Japanese naturally. But most of them don't know one fact. According to the US government, foreign
Okay. There are all sorts of caveats with the Foreign Service Institute's figures, although I will say they're not wrong when they say the Japanese takes a hell of a lot longer for English speakers than a whole lot of other languages.
Service Institute, Japanese falls into what they call Category 5 languages. And this is officially what they wrote. The Category 5 language.
Okay, I'm really quite surprised that Arabic would also fall in there along with Japanese, Korean, Chinese, and Cantonese, actually. I mean, especially, it isn't the, I'm sure it's not the only Semitic language that the FSI has on this chart, and it does not, I mean, I guess there's, you know, all the regional variation and stuff like that, but I'm actually really quite surprised. But yeah,
which is 88 weeks, 2,200 class hours. Super hard languages. Yeah, it's actually bad. Like 2,200 hours. 88 weeks, almost 2 years if you study every single day. And so most learners start to feel slow. They feel stuck. They feel like everyone around them is improving.
And if they're using methods like the sort of stuff that the FSI uses a lot of the time, then they're really not getting anywhere. Now, one of the things that can lead people to feel stuck is the fact that a lot of the most important part of what you're doing when you're trying to acquire a language is unconscious. If you don't know what's going on, you really kind of don't know what you've acquired until it suddenly comes up because you're using it spontaneously. And that can often make it seem like a lot of slog without a whole lot of payoff.
Accept that. But here is what I want to tell you. There is nothing wrong with you. What is wrong is your approach. There are strategies you absolutely...
Okay, I mean, often that will be one of the problems.
Need to know before you start learning Japanese. And knowing these strategies versus not knowing them, it's a completely different journey. Anyway, my name is Sasuke. I was born and raised in Japan. And I have taught Japanese to over 100 students around the world. So
now, I will say that native speakers of a language often aren't the best source of advice on how to learn the language because they've never actually learned it as a non-native speaker. So that's just sort of a general caveat.
Today I'm gonna talk about
like, I mean, and it's not just like Japanese. It's like, you know, when English speakers, native English speakers, tell you the best way to learn English, well, they might know about it. They might also not, and a lot of that will depend on the extent to which they're willing to listen to non-native speakers who've done it successfully versus kind of guessing what seems to make sense.
6 strategies that will completely change how you learn Japanese. And if you are a beginner, you should watch this. So number one, create as much time as possible for Japanese.
Very good. Good advice generally. I mean, whether you're learning Japanese or you're learning Italian or something, the more time you dedicate to engaging with the language, the more you're likely to actually benefit from it.
This strategy might seem simple, but this is so powerful. The more you engage with the languages, the more naturally it will start to flow.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, because it takes time to build all of the associations and connections. It also matters what you engage with, and curious what he has to say there.
Consistently listening to Japanese, so whether it's through podcasts, music, anime, or Japanese TV shows, you will
I mean,
get feel for natural expression, pronunciation, and tone.
I will say that those are good recommendations. Those types of content, those types of input are best if you already have a fairly good foundation, if you're already sort of in the strong B1 level, and so you're not completely out to sea when it comes to a Japanese sentence. If you're not going to get a whole lot out of that if you're at the more beginner level and you don't understand much of anything, because a lot of this is not going to be what you'd call optimal input. But fortunately, there is a whole lot of Japanese CI material out there, and that is what I would recommend people. If you can't understand, say, a news item in Japanese, if you can't make out at least the general gist of the thing, or a conversation like dialogue in a TV show that you watch, then I would suggest that what you would want to be spending most of your time with is going to be more learner-orientated stuff, like comprehensible input videos and things designed for beginners, because that's going to be providing a lot more of the context that you need to make up for the fact that you don't have all that many words to work with.
You can literally do any time and anywhere. Taking a train, cleaning the
Oh
house,
god, the slop. Why must people do it?
cooking, or taking a shit. Imagine the difference it would make if, over a year, you had 100 of hours of Japanese exposure simply from turning on podcasts instead of music.
I mean, in general, I agree with that. And if we're talking about you often hear people talk about the intermediate plateau in languages in general, where you've gotten to the point where you can kind of function in the language and you understand the broad gist of things when you're watching television or whatever. Then moving into, adding more native content like podcasts and things like that is definitely a good idea. Because the further along you get, the more the optimal input that you need is going to be coming from authentic content intended for native speakers as opposed to learner-orientated content. But you have to be much more selective about these things if you're not quite at that level. The lower your level is right now, the less you understand, the more selective you really ought to be about the type of things that you're engaging with if you want to get the maximum benefit.
When you fully surround yourself with Japanese,
I agree with that.
A passive learning environment.
おやすみなさい。愛してる。どういたしまして。君、こんにちは、俺。ありがとう。すみません。ごめん。
That build up your
ひらがなばっ
understanding with
かりだけど。
Number 2, shadowing. The shadowing is a method used by language learners worldwide because it's effective at
Yeah, and it definitely, I would recommend it.
improving both listening and the speaking skills. To shadow, find a Japanese audio clip, ideally something with natural pace, and repeat what you hear and immediately after it's said.
One thing I will say, though, is you don't want to try to force speech early. It isn't necessarily going to you're not necessarily going to get much of anything out of it. But if you're already starting to find that you're spontaneously forming utterances in your head that you haven't heard elsewhere, then you're ready to start really working on speaking, and then this is definitely a worthwhile thing to do. I mean, one way that I did it that I found very effective when I was, I think, within the sort of target demographic for a video like this was I had these Japanese videos that I would watch, these dubs of the X-Files, and when I understood a phrase that somebody said, I would just kind of occasionally just say it to myself, try to get it exactly the way they were saying it, and I found that was actually very helpful and helped me actually work on understanding the things that I wasn't quite following.
Basically, you can pick Japanese podcast or anime or music. It's not the great resource.
Yeah, I mean, both, because the speed is going to be different. Also, there's a certain type of pronunciation that Japanese singers like to use that does not sound like the way anyone talks. I'm not sure where it comes from, but, like, if you listen to a lot of Japanese pop music and you listen to the way people talk, you will notice there are very specific differences. Like, vowels sound very different often. A lot of, vowels that are actually devoiced, like, often is, will get almost an English-sounding pronunciation. So, I mean, so that really is not ideal for these purposes. Dialogue is great, though.
You listen, and right after you literally speak and repeat what you heard. So I think the anime is a good start because you can have a fun. It could be anything. So for that,
I would say, I mean, I wouldn't advise against it. But watching live action stuff has the advantage that you can actually see people's lips moving. You know, when animated series, often the mouths are very sort of notional, that you don't get the full motion. Like, you can see at least what my lips are doing when I'm talking right now. I'm not trying to emphasize lip movements, to facilitate lip reading at the moment, but you can get some idea of what's going on in my mouth to make the sounds, and sometimes when there are sounds that are hard to tell apart, seeing somebody actually talking, seeing their actual mouth moving, can be very helpful. So I would say actually live action is definitely, I wouldn't just do anime. Like live action TV of one form or another, whether it's like NHK News or whatever, would definitely be worth doing, in addition to any kind of animated content.
Anime, JJK, you can say like, 領域展開 or something.
領域展開領域展開
You just make a habit
領域
that
展開って
you speak Japanese. So when you first start, it might feel like you are just mimicking a sound, but over time you will notice improvement in pronunciation, rhythm, and even your confidence in speaking.
And I would say,
Confidence is the key.
this is why I actually say that it's good for you to do it with when you actually recognize a phrase. You know, if you're watching native orientated content, you're not, if you're at the lower intermediate level or even the intermediate level, you're not necessarily going to understand everything yet. But if you make a habit of specifically shadowing the stuff that you do understand, where you can make out the words clearly, and you have some understanding of what they're trying to say, then I think you can kind of move away from it feeling like you're mimicking sounds, and then you're actually sort of mimicking an actor's delivery of a phrase, of a line that you understand. I think that would actually probably be somewhat of an improvement on here, but I think the idea is good in general.
And this technique forces you to pay close attention to intonation and the sentence structure, helping you sound more natural when you speak. If you are nervous about speeding, start with the slow paces and then make it faster conversation later. But the shadowing also improves your ability to think in Japanese because you are not just hearing the words, you are actively pronouncing them. Practice this
Yeah,
daily.
I mean, this is again why I think specifically going for phrases that you actually heard and understand is more effective, because then you've already got that recognition going on, and you're kind of cementing that recognition by producing it, by repeating what you just heard.
And you will see progress in your speaking ability and fluency. When I started learning English, I used this technique, and this was actually really helpful. Number 3, and this is a powerful one: talk by yourself.
I would say that this kind of naturally segues from shadowing as well. I mean, talking to yourself is actually really helpful. Once speech is already coming, just, if you've got moments where you can just talk to yourself and nobody's going to look at you strangely, then just do it. Just, say the things that come to mind in Japanese or whatever your target language is, and let your mouth just get used to them. Let you follow a train of thought if you've got one in your Japanese or whatever your target language is, because this is all, he's gearing this towards Japanese learners, but this is actually fairly good advice in general.
Now, talking to yourself in Japanese might seem weird, but it's a surprisingly effective practice. I think it's hard to find the native Japanese speaker outside of Japan without a conversation partner. The self-talk allows you to use what you know, reinforcing vocabulary and grammar.
Yeah, it also just allows you, if you start to have thoughts flowing in the language, which is something that happens at a certain point, when you have reached the sort of threshold amount of input that your brain just starts formulating thoughts in the language occasionally, you will encourage those connections and associations by just actually talking through it. And if you feel weird talking just to yourself, if there's an animal in your life, talk to them. Talk to your cat in Japanese. Your cat will ignore you in a whole different language.
You can talk about literally anything. Try describing your day. Talk about what you're doing, discussing your plans out loud in Japanese. So, for example, when you are...
I would say one useful thing that I would add to this is if you've got something that you're reading in your target language, that can be used as a source of prompt, because sometimes the real difficulty when you're trying to just say stuff is getting started, because you say, okay, I want to say things in Japanese, and then you just freeze up because you have absolutely no context from which to derive a thing to say. And sometimes it will just recommend itself spontaneously, and you just go with it, and you just let the flow happen and just keep talking as things occur to you. Just free associating, really. But if you can't, then reading something and just letting that sort of percolate in your head can often get the ball rolling.
A chicken, you can say, 私はチキンを切っています. And after, 次に
Hello, Riveroon, how you doing?
水を入れます. 水を飲みます. Anything.
チキンと入れた水を飲んでるのか?
Your mouth's gonna get used to speak Japanese. Just speak something in Japanese. You will be surprised how quickly you start thinking in Japanese. And
see, I would actually go about this the other way around. Just in terms of what we know about the role of input, you're going to be more effective in speaking if you're doing it after you're already starting to have thoughts in the language. That can happen sooner than you expect. And these guidelines you'll see, particularly in ALG-based systems, will be like, okay, only start speaking after this many hours. I would take those very much with a grain of salt, because it really depends on the brain of the individual learner of when this spontaneous emergence of speech is going to be, when this sort of language production starts to happen in your brain, because it happens in your brain before it's going to happen in your mouth. But Yeah. When you start doing that, then you should really, just do everything that you can to encourage it.
Not just translating from your native languages. And yeah, if you keep doing that, your brain gonna start think about Japanese to Japanese. You can take away the process of translate from your languages to the Japanese. The practicing this way also build your confidence.
Yeah.
I told you the confidence is a key because you
it is important. Yo.
Yourself without a fear or judgment. Even if you make a mistake.
I've never said anything to a cat that made them attack me, I have to say. Falling for the exposed belly trap, on the other hand.
Oh, listen to you. You are still reinforcing sentence structure and vocabulary, gradually moving forward.
I know what this is going for, but it kind of looks like a fuse that has been lit.
Natural, fluent speech. Number 4, and this is super powerful, so please pay attention. Mastering kanji by understanding radicals.
Oh, hard agree. Absolutely. The more you understand the system by which kanji are formed, the more sense they're going to make. If you understand especially these really complex, 30-stroke characters and things like that, if you understand that those are made up of individual parts and the radicals, and those parts are actually repeating, and you start to understand it in terms of these components being arranged in specific ways in order to form specific characters, the system is going to make a whole lot more sense. Oh, wow. Well, happy birthday, Riveroon's niece.
The kanji is often difficult for learners.
Oh, bit of a tiring day here as well.
Due to the huge number of characters and their complexity. But here is a trick. Think of kanji as being built from smaller parts.
Yes.
Called radicals. Sorry for my accent. The radicals are like the roots of kanji.
Yeah, in fact, that is where the word radical comes from. It comes from radix, root.
Understanding them makes learning much easier.
Yeah.
So each radical has meaning. And many kanji combine these radicals to form new meanings. So for instance, this radical represents
Sanzu.
the water and appear in kanji like sea, river.
Yeah, and this is one you also have to be careful with, because there's a version of it where it only has 2 strokes. This is sanzu because it has 3 strokes. San, 3. But sometimes you will run across characters that look like these, except it's only 2 strokes, and that's a completely different thing. Now, I don't know if there are specifically nisui characters with the rest of these components present, but it wouldn't surprise me, especially amongst the really rare ones.
So by learning a few radicals, you will often be able to guess the meaning of unfamiliar kanji.
Not just the meaning either, the pronunciation. Because often one of the radicals will indicate how the thing is pronounced. And if you know that, you can at least bluff your way through unfamiliar kanji. Because it's not necessarily, there are multiple readings, but the onyomi, the Chinese-based reading, will generally be apparent from the radicals in the kanji. So you can get a whole lot of information just from understanding those components.
This is actually a cheat code. Instead of memorizing thousands of individual characters, focus on these smaller building blocks to make kanji more approachable.
And it allows you to group them too.
Number 5, mastering particles using graphic imagery.
Okay, interesting. I mean, particles definitely are one of the things that challenge people. And this is actually because particles are often so extremely vibe-based, and incidentally, this is also true of Korean, this is actually why input is so important for really learning them, because if you try to do it in terms of the abstract descriptions of how they are meant to function, first of all, those are going to be incomplete descriptions, and applying them spontaneously in a given situation is not easy. But if you get used to it because you just hear people using them in context where you understand what's going on, then you can really begin to make sense out of it. Yeah, then these things then you start to see the patterns and they start to make sense.
I know the protocol is so annoying. I know. The protocol are unique to Japanese and act as a markers.
They're not entirely unique to Japanese. I mean, these particular particles are more or less unique to Japanese. But the sort of particles and the way the particles work is something that you absolutely see in Korean, and it is very similar to how they work in Japanese.
That help define relationships between the words and the sentence. Learning particles like ga, mo, ni are super tricky because they don't always translate easily.
This is why input is so important. Although, if you have one thing I will say that can be very useful, if you have good idiomatic translations of colloquial Japanese, like in a book, for example, the Power Japanese textbook that Tuttle Publishing puts out, then you can get a much better sense of it because they use good idiomatic translations. It isn't clunky translated looking, and you can really get a feel for how you transfer the vibe. You achieve the vibe you're going for in a given situation in Japanese.
A helpful method is to visualize each particle as a graphic symbol, such as arrows or direction markers.
See, I don't think that is very helpful because... Oh, okay, well, there are some particles that act as prepositions, except that they come after the thing, making them postpositions. Like e and ni, or made, although made has other meanings as well. But that sort of visualization can be useful because they are talking about spatial relationships and motion towards or motion away from and that sort of thing. But a lot of the relationships that are being described using particles are much more nebulous than that. Like, I don't think that this, like, wa and ga, which in Korean would be un and i, or nun and ga, depending on what comes before them. These are very abstract relationships that you're talking about, and visualizing them that way doesn't necessarily help all that much. In fact, it can actually hurt. So this is where input is really, really important, because then you really start to get a sense. If you understand the gist of the statement, then you can start to get a sense of why it's structured that way.
So for instance, imagine wo as an arrow pointing toward the object of the action, or ni as a directional point to where something goes.
Except that ni is also a location. Ni can just be a static thing, not a direction. You can use ni to mean that you are in a place.
Using images allows you to see how particles connect ideas, almost like a markers in a sentence that guide you.
I mean, I can see some application for this, just to be clear. Especially with the locational, the more spatially orientated particles. If you have an image and then you have a Japanese description of or a Korean description, this would work for that as well, of what's going on in the image written down on it. And then you can look at it, and make sure it is validated that native speakers have said, yeah, this is an accurate way of describing this in Japanese. So, and then you can visualize the actual relationships that are being described at the same time as you're visualizing, as you're seeing how they're described.
This visual approach helps you understand each protocol's purpose without needing to rely on direct translation, making it easier to remember and apply them naturally. Whenever you use a protocol, imagine arrows or a direction maker inside of the brain, people is likely to remember the things by using graphic something, like graphic image or something.
Yeah, see, this is... The thing is, if you want to be able to use them naturally, the main thing is always going to be input. It's going to be input that actually, that is optimal in the sense that it gives you all you need in order to understand it. Because, like, somebody actually describing a picture, like somebody describing what's on the screen right now. There's a guy in a yukata sitting in front of a table with a black laptop in front of him and a kind of carbon black mouse. He has a lavalier mic on his lapel, and a photo series depicting cherry blossoms and Mount Fuji is behind him on a dark beige wall. And I say all of that, and somebody, say, who is working on their English can go back and look at that description and say, okay, so on the wall, that is the spatial relationship, that's how it's being described. Or or in front, the computer is in front of him, or the mouse is charcoal black, or something like that. And I think that will actually be much more useful, because you're being able, from these kind of descriptions, to observe the patterns. And as you observe the patterns, your associations with those patterns are going to be stronger, and it's going to be easier for you to understand, even without all the visual information, what's being described.
So I think this is really effective and powerful, so please use it. Number 6 and last one, think of Japanese like a puzzle. Finally, think of learning Japanese as a piecing together a giant puzzle.
No, I don't. I don't think that this is a helpful way of thinking about it. I think you actually kind of, to a certain extent, want to get away from this kind of thinking, which is what a lot of traditional instruction methods kind of push you towards, from the way that grammar is taught, from the way that syntax and structures and things like that are taught. The more it is just messages that are being given to you and that you are understanding, that it's, the more it is just a medium by which people are communicating information and ideas and things to you, and that you are comprehending, I think the easier it'll be, the less, because if you're already sort of putting yourself at a distance from the language when you start to think of it as a puzzle, as a sort of an intellectual exercise where you're putting together pieces. I think it's actually better if you experience Japanese or any target language as a medium by which things are being communicated to you and that you understand. Because the more that happens, the more your brain just gets used to using it as a means for understanding things and for communicating them.
Each word, kanji, and the particle is a piece, and every sentence you form is another part of the bigger picture. So it can be anything, like 私はジムに行った. This is the 3 pieces. 私はジムに行った. And then you can add the new pieces about the time. 朝. And now it's a 4 pieces. 朝私はジムに行った. You can add another pieces with who. You can say with friends. So you can say 朝私は友達とジムに行った. So now it's 3 pieces to 5 pieces. Like this, like think about the Japanese. Any languages also. Think about Japanese.
See, I mean, the idea of expanding on a sentence once you have it in your head, I think actually is kind of sound. Like, for example, if you're trying to describe this image that I have in front of me on my screen right now, you could start out with, there's a dude sitting at a table looking at me. And then you just add to that and just keep on whatever your brain comes up with in your target language and keep on expanding on it. I think that's pretty good. The more you get away from just the language as abstraction, I think the better you are. Because here I am conveying information about a thing I'm looking at. I am describing an image I'm looking at and trying to just see how much stuff I can say about it. That, I think, actually is a more useful way of doing a similar thing to what he's talking about.
As a puzzle, and you just add the pieces. Boom, 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 boom. This approach is more fun, and you can enjoy learning Japanese. Alright, like this one. How was that? I hope it will help you.
Okay, for anyone who wants to watch this video directly, you can find it here. Drop in a link in chat. And let's see, what else have we got? Mm-hmm. 10 German words textbooks should teach much earlier. I'm very curious about this because there are definitely a number of words that I can think of that would be good to include and that do make your speech a lot more natural. This is Learn German with Herr Antrim.
Hallo Deutsch.
Which is, Antrim is an Irish county.
Hello Deutschlerner. Today I want to talk about 10 German words that I wish I had learned earlier. Not because these words are rare or fancy, but because they are useful all of the time, but for some reason, formal courses and books leave these off of the vocabulary.
Okay. This sounds... Okay, did I already provide this? Maybe I did. Let me just make sure. Okay. And that's this video. This is Learn German with Herr Antrim. And I guess we're going to see. I'm curious which words he's thinking of. Oh, I see. He's got a book about County Antrim. So, on his bookshelf right there as well.
List until way later than necessary. These are the kinds of words that will help you build more flexible sentences, explain yourself better, and sound way less like you're translating word for word from English. Number 1, unbedingt.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That means, like, absolutely. It means definitely, literally unconditionally. And you use that if you're saying that something, something absolutely has to happen. You absolutely have to do something. There's something you just gotta see. A lot of things that English will often communicate with specific words will often, through these sort of adverbs, be communicated in German. Das musst du dir unbedingt ansehen, Alter. Das ist ja voll krass. And it's like, man, you gotta see this shit. It is absolutely sick.
Unbedingt means something like definitely, absolutely, or really need to. I use English words like this all of the time, so having unbedingt available in German is incredibly helpful.
Definitely a
For
good
example,
one.
Das musst du unbedingt sehen. Sentence. Number 2.
Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead. The link is in chat for anyone who wants to see the whole thing.
2. Doch.
Oh, that is such a useful word. And it is very much, this is one of these words that you'll hear Germans using, and Austrians and Swiss people, and other German speakers using all the time. And it's a hard one to completely get a handle on because it does so many different things. Definitely a good one.
Doch is one of those words that confuses a lot of German learners.
Yeah, because it does all sorts of kind of sometimes paradoxical things. In fact, you can pair these two unbedingt and doch can go together. Nee, du musst doch unbedingt hin. No, you absolutely have to go. Yeah, go there. You can stack these, and you create a vibe. It is very much a vibe-based thing. These are very much just particles to a certain extent that you would not translate directly because, oh, that is a great freeze frame I've given him. That they communicate a mood to the sentence, but they don't necessarily do it in a way that is always recovered in words in English.
That's why basically every German language YouTube creator has a video just about this one word.
Yeah.
The easiest use is when you're trying to contradict a negative statement.
Yeah.
Du sprichst kein Deutsch. You don't speak German.
Doch.
Ich
Yeah.
spreche Deutsch. Yes, I do. I speak German. But doch can also show two ideas are pushing against each other.
Yeah, I mean, and one, just to follow on here, one of the things that you can use doch for, using his example here, is like, du sprichst doch Deutsch. Like, let's say somebody is giving you the impression that they don't speak German, that they don't understand what you're saying. They're, maybe they're fucking with you. And then you notice that their facial expression changes when you say something very specific. And then you say, ja, du sprichst doch Deutsch, which is like, oh yeah, you do speak German, huh? Like, we would do this using do, the verb do, we were talking yesterday briefly about what a weird little verb do is. But in that context, this is how I would say, oh, you do speak German, huh?
Es ist teuer, aber ich kaufe es doch. It's expensive, but I'm buying it anyway.
Another one you can use there is trotzdem.
That but still feeling is exactly why doch is so useful. Nummer 3. Anfangen.
Okay. I mean, there are other things. He has only just scratched the surface of doch. Because doch can also be used just as emphasis. Das ist doch bescheuert. Das ist doch Wahnsinn. Like, that is, but that, it's like, but that's absurd.
Anfangen means to start or to begin, and this comes up constantly.
And it means so many things besides.
People start jobs, classes, hobbies, trips, conversations, books, movies, and projects. Der Film fängt 8 Uhr an. The movie starts at 8. But it gets even more useful when you combine it with a zu infinitive clause.
Okay.
Hat angefangen, Deutsch zu lernen.
I mean, and there's also, I hope he gets into this, anfangen can also be used to mean to do something with. Also, ich sag's ganz offen, mit Harry Potter kann ich wirklich nichts anfangen. That means, yeah, I'll just come out and say it. I got no use for Harry Potter. I can't begin anything with Harry Potter. It indicates, so you're saying that you can't begin a thing, and it means you have no use for it, you can't do anything with it, you don't have any idea what to do with it, for example.
He started learning German. Ich habe angefangen, jeden Tag zu lesen. I started reading every day. This structure gives you a very practical way to talk about habits, goals, and changes if you want to learn more about zu plus infinitive.
Okay. Now, so he's not even getting into one of the most important, I would say, uses of Anfang. But definitely, I mean, it's useful. Yeah, even that version is useful.
I have a video link in the description for this. Number 4, versuchen. Versuchen means to try, and
it can also mean to tempt.
Just like anfangen, it works beautifully with zu plus infinitive clauses. Ich versuche mehr Deutsch zu sprechen. I am attempting to speak more German.
Okay. I'm wondering, because I thought this was going to be all about, okay, we're getting back to modal particles. Eigentlich. Eigentlich is a really important one. Eigentlich is bloody everywhere. And It is another one that is just a pain for translators because, I mean, sometimes it just means actually, and you just use it as actually, but a lot of times it doesn't really work quite like that at all. Like, sometimes it's another one that communicates a vibe where you're just sort of saying, yeah, you know, in point of fact this, or you'll hear people say, wo kommst du eigentlich her? You know, where are you from? Now, they're not saying eigentlich to suggest that you might lie to them when they answer you with your answer, and that they want you to give the accurate statement. It's just a way of kind of softening the question a little.
Number 5. Eigentlich. Eigentlich often means actually, really, or technically.
Yeah, all those things.
Sentence. Ich wohne eigentlich in Illinois.
It can also be used to indicate what you should be doing but are not doing. Also eigentlich müsste ich schon in New York sein. You know, I really ought to be in New York right now. I really ought to already be in New York right now. Schon is another one. I hope he does schon. Schon is another, that is such an important word, and it doesn't just mean already.
Actually live in Illinois. Das ist eigentlich nicht so schwer. That's actually not too hard. But it's also useful in questions. Was magst du eigentlich heute?
Yeah, I mean, there we go. And here, it doesn't really translate as anything. It's just sort of filler in the sentence. It's like, you're expressing an interest in the thing. You're expressing an interest in the thing that you're asking about, basically. I think that's how you would describe this.
What are you actually doing today?
Yeah, you see, that's not a great translation. I mean, what he's trying to do is come up with a one-to-one gloss on this use of eigentlich. And the thing is that there isn't really a one-to-one gloss. Because when you say, what are you actually doing today, that's suggesting that you've been misled about what this person is doing today. What are you actually doing today? You know, suggests that you think that they're not really doing anything and you're kind of challenging them. It has sort of an aggressive feel when you say it like that in English, which is not at all how eigentlich works in German when you're asking a question, was machst du eigentlich heute? Is just you're expressing a, you know, polite interest in their activities. Was machst du eigentlich? Like maybe as a preface to inviting them out for drinks or something. So this isn't a great translation here. I see why he did it, but as a translator of German, between German and English, I go in both directions. I would never add actually there, because, I mean, if I were translating what are you actually doing today, that would actually, was machst du wirklich heute? Was machst du heute wirklich? You know, when we say actually there, it is suggesting that there is some sort of misleading going on, or some sort of misunderstanding, or inaccurate information, or you're suggesting that maybe they're not really doing anything.
It makes the question sound a little bit more natural, like you're connecting it to a conversation rather than just asking a random question from a textbook.
Yeah.
Number 6. Trotzdem.
Okay. I mean, a lot of these, once again, can very much be stacked. You can stack these things. Ich kann damit nichts anfangen, doch trotzdem mag ich es. There, I was trying to see how many of these I could put together in one sentence. Like, ich kann damit eigentlich nichts anfangen, doch trotzdem mag ich es. Means, like, I have no idea what even to do with it, but I like it anyway, really.
Trotzdem means nevertheless, despite that, or more naturally in English, anyway.
There's actually a longer German word. There are two way longer German words that also mean nevertheless. Nichtsdestotrotz and nichtsdestoweniger, which you will almost never encounter in conversation and will fairly rarely encounter in writing unless somebody just wants to really be emphatic or sound very intellectual.
Es regnet. Trotzdem gehe ich spazieren. It's raining. I'm going for a walk anyway. Ich bin müde. Trotzdem muss ich arbeiten. I'm tired. Nevertheless, I have to work.
Yeah.
This is one of those words that helps you connect ideas in... instead of just saying short, separate sentences. Number 7, schaffen.
Oh, very important. It can mean so many things. Like, one thing it means is to, like, manage something. Ich hab's geschafft, I managed it. But it can also, in some contexts, just mean working, especially in Switzerland, but not only. And it can, definitely important word. It also can just mean to create something.
Schaffen is a great word because it can mean to manage, to get something done, or to succeed at doing something.
Or to create.
Ich schaffe das. I can manage that. I can do it.
Yeah. Or, like, one way you will hear it, and once again, to just combine some of these, it will be, ach, das schaffst du doch, is a reassuring thing. Yeah, you can do that. Somebody is feeling uncertain whether they can actually handle a thing that they're supposed to be doing. You say, ach, das schaffst du doch. Like, I can tell, you absolutely, I know you can do this. You absolutely can manage it. Don't worry about it, sort of feeling. See, that is doch as a form of emphasis.
Hast du die Hausaufgaben geschafft? Did you manage to finish the homework? Wir schaffen es nicht pünktlich. We won't make it on time.
Good,
This is
yeah.
especially helpful
Good.
because it covers a lot of everyday situations where English...
There's also, like, if somebody's going off to do some work or something like that, there's a greeting, frohes Schaffen. You don't hear it very often, but it's like, have a good time working.
Speakers would say, make it, handle it, finish it, or pull it off. Number 8, brauchen. Most learners learn brauchen as to need. Ich brauche Hilfe. I need help.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the main uses, but it does indeed have a very complex life.
Wir brauchen mehr Zeit. We need more time. But this also works great with zu plus infinitive clauses in...
And just to confuse people, it is it is more correct to use zu, but you will hear people say, you will actually see zu left out in colloquial speech, and they're both right. Also, du brauchst das nicht lesen. You can say, du brauchst das nicht zu lesen. You can say, du brauchst das nicht lesen. And I mean, in common speech, well, I'm getting this guy in the worst freeze frames. In, like, common colloquial speech, you will hear both. If somebody is being nitpicky, pingelig is the German word, of a nice one to have. It just sounds like the thing, like all the best words do. Then, zu would be correct, more prescriptivists. But you can just say, du brauchst nicht hingehen, du brauchst nicht hinsehen. You don't have to look at that.
Negative sentences, and this is very useful. Du brauchst das nicht zu machen. You don't need to do that. Ich brauche morgen nicht zu arbeiten. I don't need to work tomorrow. This gives you a simple way to say don't have to without always reaching for missing.
Yeah, you say just ich brauche morgen nicht arbeiten. Hätte heute gar nicht arbeiten brauchen. He really wouldn't have had to work today at all. Without zu. Now, you wouldn't write it like this. Again, you would use zu in writing, always. But you can leave it out, and you will hear people leaving it out all the time.
Number 9, gerade.
Yes, another really good one. I mean, I would have left out a lot of these verbs and just done these sort of modal particles. I mean, gerade can mean a lot of things. It can mean just now. It can mean now of all times. Gerade jetzt, now of all times, this is happening. This is, this is the worst time it could possibly happen. And a lot of
others.
others.
It's a small word with a lot of power. It can mean right now, just, or currently. Ich lerne gerade Deutsch. I'm learning German right now.
Yeah, in fact, gerade can be used. I mean, German has like a present participle, like lerne, lernend, which is not how anyone talks really for the most part, and it isn't used in this way. But if you want to indicate I am learning rather than to really put emphasis on the fact that it is a thing that is happening right now, then you can add gerade. You can also add dabei. Ich bin gerade dabei, Deutsch zu lernen. I am right now I am studying German. Lernen means to study in all contexts other than being at a higher education institution as a student.
Ist gerade nach Hause gekommen. He just came home. Wir sprechen gerade über deutsche Wörter. We are currently talking about German words. This word is great because it helps you to describe what's happening now.
Okay. Skipping ahead again. Sowieso. Sowieso is good. Just gonna kind of skip through the list. Yeah, sowieso and so oder so, which is another way of saying it, or just EH, means just anyway. Very good to have. Definitely. Okay, so that was all of that. Okay, yeah, I mean, good list of words. There are a bunch that I would also add to this. But, okay, so that's Learn German with Herr Antrim. I mean, he seems to be very much in the sort of grammar translation model in terms of his general approach. But for priming, it doesn't hurt, and sometimes it can be helpful to refine your intuition by hearing a discussion like this. Especially, I mean, there are so many other words. Eben is a huge one. For one thing, because it can mean like just now as well, but it also has this way of saying like this is all, that you're explaining something. You're saying something and suggesting that it's obvious, that it should, that it should be expected, that it isn't something that really is surprising enough that somebody should even be asking about it. It's a very hard one to translate as well, precisely because of that. Okay, so now NFKRZ, which I don't know how he pronounces that. It looks like no fuckers, but I think that's probably not it. He does interesting content on Russia, and is quite a funny. He's quite entertaining. This one is him trying to understand every Slavic language, apparently. Let's see how well he does.
Fascinating, and it's especially a lot of fun to compare them with each other. Especially if you don't just speak the boring language of English, that the entire world. Well, I'm gonna do.
Вели дека воведувањето на новата линија им дава можност на граѓаните да бираат дали до Бугарија ќе патуваат со автомобил или автобус, или пак ќе користат авион.
No. Let me see that again.
До Бугарија ќе патуваат со автомобил или автобус, или пак ќе користат авион. Но и работите на патот кон Бугарија, кај Кривопаланка веќе некое време стојат во место.
Okay, so
that is an ex-Yugo language.
My guess right away, to be honest, is Bulgarian, because I think there was
that is not Bulgarian.
Bulgaria in the video. I think they said.
But yeah, but if you look at those number plates, it's definitely not, and the signs definitely not Bulgaria. Near there though. Koristat is to use. That I'm gonna say probably like Croatian.
Or something at least like a few times. There might be a trick though. They might be playing a trick on me here.
Граѓаните да бираат дали до Бугарија ќе патуваат со автомобил или автобус, или пак ќе користат авион. Но и работите на патот кон Бугарија, кај Кривопаланка веќе некое време стојат во место. Очекувања.
I can't lie.
Очекувања. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna say Очекувања. It is not Bulgarian, definitely. That would be Očekavanja. This is, I'm going to say Serbian or
A
Croatian.
little difficult to understand. Okay, I'm gonna go Bulgarian then. Let's see, people. The moment of
Neni.
truth.
Oh, Macedonian. Actually, Macedonian and Bulgarian are very similar.
Okay, guys. Immediately discredited my Slavic language skills.
Oh, well, no, actually confusing Macedonian and Bulgarian, not at all. Cool flag, incidentally. That is definitely on my cool flag list. But though that isn't discrediting to get those to mix those up, because they do a lot of the same things. They are very similar. Though they have a few words that they don't use that are different, but fundamentally, like, Macedonians and Bulgarians can actually understand each other fairly well.
Macedonian. I mean, I was always under the impression that Macedonian was like Serbian or Serbo.
Well, they're all that's not wrong either, because they're all Balkan Slavic languages, and in fact, the Balkan languages in general, not just the Slavic ones, do a lot of the same stuff. They use including Greek, for example, and Romanian, which are not Slavic, do a lot of the same things. They behave similarly with infinitives in that they don't really use infinitives the way a lot of other languages, including a lot of Slavic languages, do. They have what they use is a particle and then the conjugated verb, like želim da kažem, iska da, želim da rikam.
Isn't that the truth? Apparently, I guess Macedonian is closer to Bulgarian, but it is similar to Serbo-Croatian in a way as well. As far as the tier list goes, I'm gonna have to say it's... I wouldn't really say it's I understand it okay.
Okay.
This music bangs. Okay. I know this.
Budinki. Okay. Ukrainska?
Immediately, Ukrainian. There we go. I don't even need to, not even a second. I mean, Russian and Ukrainian are pretty similar. They are closely related, but there's a lot of lexical differences.
Yes, and Ukrainian often skews off in the Polish direction. But I'm going to take a quick bio break. I will be back in just a few minutes.
Hey, implicit connotations. Well, I'm Elise from the Crowdfunded Translation Project, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. The Inessa Armand project. After finishing Kalantai's social basis of the female question, I put out a call for suggestions for the next project. One of those suggestions that I received was to translate the essays and letters of Inessa Armand, Kalantai's predecessor at the Bolshevik Women's section. Suppressed by Stalin and never translated into English, Armand's writings enrich our understanding of the Bolshevik women's movement in the run-up to the October Revolution and the early days of revolutionary Russia. With your support, I have been able to translate all of her extant essays and am currently raising the last $1,950 to cover the cost of translating the remainder of her extant works, which at this point is just her correspondence. If you would like to support the project, all contributions are beautiful. You'll find links in the description. The Punto Final project is a project that is really just at its inception. Punto Final, for those unfamiliar with it, i.e. likely most of the people watching this right now, was a magazine edited by Manuel Caviese Donoso that ran from 1965 to the eve of the 1973 CIA-backed coup in Chile, and then from 1989 to 2018, publishing a grand total of 894 issues. In addition to being a platform for theoretical and ideological debate, they were also a source of excellent political journalism. Their real-time analysis of political developments in Chile, the rise of the Unidad Popular, the looming coup, and the limits of electoralism has aged extremely well, and is well worth reading for anyone interested in the period. The Chilean left is sort of in a media bubble, and the Anglosphere left really doesn't do a great job of breaking that bubble and really building connections there. So the discussion that you hear in English about Chile, even in supposed left outlets, such as Jargon, often has little or nothing to do with the state of discussion amongst comrades in Chile. So this is part of my attempts to contribute to sort of breaking down that bubble and fostering some understanding of the thought amongst revolutionaries in Chile, both historically and currently. I have so far translated 7 articles, including a long read on electoralism versus armed struggle called Chile, the Ballot or the Bullet by Punto Final editor Manuel Cabiese, and currently am working on various pieces of political analysis from the eve of the electoral campaign that would bring Salvador Allende to power, or at least to government. These include discussions of electoral versus revolutionary strategy and how and to what extent these things can coexist, discussions of US imperialist interference in Chilean politics, One of the challenges of this project, since its inception, has been getting the word out. The billionaire-controlled black box algorithms that dominate our lives don't like small creators or small projects. Nor are they particularly keen on ideological viewpoints that are inconsistent with the whims of billionaires. What's more, they positively detest anyone who isn't paying for reach. And then they turn around and make it ever harder to do even that in a useful way. The result of all this is that there are definitely considerably more people who would be interested in this project than actually see any of my posts about it. And that's why I have a small favor to ask you. Tell your friends about the crowdfunded translation project. Share the completed translations, link the Patreon and the Facebook pages. All those links are in the description. Let people know that this project exists and what it's all about. Let them know that I want to hear their ideas for future crowdfunded translation projects at crowdfunded_translations@elisehendrick.com. And if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Ultimately, the crowdfunded translation project is for us all. The whole idea is to translate texts that have fallen through the cracks by making it economically viable for a professional translator, i.e. me, to work on them and to make the results freely available to everyone. I think that a lot of great things are coming out of the project, and even more can result from it yet. But it all depends on making the project visible to the people who might benefit from it and consider supporting it. Thank you for watching for this length of time. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope that it will encourage you to get in touch with the crowdfunded translation project, look at our translations, to get in touch with, to get involved with the crowdfunded translation project. Make suggestions, read the translations, let people know that this exists. This could be a great resource, but it's been a real fucker trying to get the word out about it. So thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility.
And I'm back. Okay.
Ukrainians usually know Russian better than Russians know Ukrainian, and
True.
you know, I'm basically kind of the same here. Although I would say that since the war in Ukraine started, the amount of content that I've kind of seen and the amount of comments you see online, people kind of using Ukrainian has increased. And actually my exposure to Ukrainian as well has increased, and I feel like my Ukrainian actually got a lot better since the start of the war with Ukraine, because now I know a lot more words that I never knew before and stuff like that, and I almost feel like I could try speaking Ukrainian. It probably would be complete nonsense. It would sound like surzik, the
Surzik. Yeah.
Russian-Ukrainian mix, I guess, but yeah, it's a language that I can understand pretty well. I'd say I understand it well. Honestly, my prediction out of all of these, maybe apart from Belarusian, this is gonna be the
Belarusian, I find, the way when it's written, it looks a lot like somebody being a little bit more phonetic in writing Russian a lot of the time.
Next one.
Sankcje I mówi zrobiliście źle, to z tego trzeba wyciągać wnioski.
Okay.
This is Polish.
Again, another very easy one. Immediately obvious, just based off the sound. This is Polish. How well do I understand it? I mean, let's see if I understand what he's talking about here.
Daje sankcje I mówi zrobiliście źle, to z tego trzeba wyciągać wnioski. W tym sensie powinien z takich zdarzeń negatywnych, niezależnie czego zarzut dotyczy, trzeba się podporządkować prawu I organowi, to mówię.
I feel like it's almost not enough to understand.
Yeah, I mean, he isn't saying what these sanctions are about.
But like, yeah, he's talking about like sanctions and some kind of negative consequences and like some. I heard the word independent in there also, незалежно, and whatever. I like that's really it, to be quite honest. Like, I'm not gonna pretend like I understood more than that. But with Polish, I'd say I would probably put it at I understand it okay. I wouldn't say understand it well. For me, actually, with Polish, I think I understand Polish well when I read it because
I mean, it's the same for me. Like, with a lot of Slavic languages that I don't spend a lot of time with, I can read them and I understand them pretty just fine. But if you put me in a room and I'm not prepared to be hearing them, it will take me a minute. Okay.
Kurban, let's go. Next language.
Nabídnout místo studentům vysokých škol a udržet je tak v Plzni. Zatím však poliká stovky milionů korun a město už podruhé navyšovalo rozpočet o obrovské sumy.
Vědecko-technický park Tech Tower v Plzni víří emoce. Projekt vznikající v areálu bývalého pivovaru na Světové.
Yeah, okay, so this one I would say it's either Slovak or Czech. Now, this is the difficult fucking part to decipher which it is.
One of the easiest ways to tell the difference is the months, because Czech uses the Slavic names for the months, and Slovak uses the Latin names for the months.
I mean, looking from the outside, I understand everybody in Eastern Europe is a nationalist, I'm gonna get shot on for this, but looking from the outside, Slovak and Czech basically kind of seem like the same language. A lot like Serbian and Croatian. I understand there's differences, but I mean, it is kind of basically the same
I mean,
language.
Slovak has
so
sounds Czech doesn't have.
Either it's impossible to understand which is which, but I guess, I mean, I think they kind of gave it away here. There's like a Czech thing, you see.
Yeah, and they're talking about Pujen.
So, I think I'm gonna go ahead and say that it's Czech. Okay. Yes, people. Oh my god, I'm so good at this. I mean, it doesn't take too much to be good at this, to be honest, but can I understand it well?
Studentům vysokých škol a udržet je tak v Plzni. Zatím však poliká stovky milionů korun a město už podruhé navyšovalo rozpočet o obrovské sumy.
The translation isn't quite right, because she said that the budget's being increased by millions of crowns. Miliony korun. Not just huge sums.
V Plzni víří emoce. Projekt vznikající v areálu bývalého pivovaru na Světové.
This is like some kind of news about. I thought they said something about like higher education, like schools, something about like not druhé, like is that like different, another location or something? That's what they said. And then they said there's some kind of high technological park that was being developed, I guess, that like at Kurban. Let's go, next language.
This is the same thing again. Oh, it's Czech again. Easy.
Tím však poliká stovky milionů korun a město už podruhé navyšovalo rozpočet o obrovské sumy.
Vědecko-technický park Tech Tower v Plzni víří emoce. Projekt vznikající v areálu bývalého.
Wait, this is just the same thing again.
Serbian and Croatian. I understand there's differences, but I mean, it is kind of basically the same language, right? So when you don't speak either, it's impossible to understand which is which. But I guess, I mean, I think they kind of gave it away here. There's like a check thing to slow down. Alright, next one.
Konsenz je, da je to edina afera na sodišču, ki jo bo uspela pred temi volitvami urediti globoka država, medtem ko je primer miroval
Okay.
Yeah,
so
this
right
is
away,
either Serbian or Croatian.
Either one of those, unless this video has the...
Hello, Language Mania 99. Yes, I have watched a couple of his videos.
As one. But yeah, that's pretty obvious to me. I've actually been to Serbia, not to Croatia yet, but
I haven't been to either.
Konsenz je, da je to edina afera na sodišču, ki jo bo uspela pred temi volitvami urediti globoka država. Medtem ko je primer miroval praktično 2 leti, je zdaj razpisanih kar 5 obravnavnih narokov v enem mesecu. Janšo morajo obsoditi pred volitvami, pa če tudi za takšno malenkost.
Honestly, I don't understand what the fuck is being said. Some words, once again, I don't understand. The context of this one, I'm not gonna lie,
it's some sort of judicial investigation involving something that's being described as the deep state.
He's talking about like a court or something. That's as much really as I got. And about some country that did something.
Yeah, that's what... Oh, yeah, he's getting that because he heard Globoka Država. Država sounds like the Russian Держава, which is the term that's kind of used to refer to like a great power in Russian. But in a lot of the Slavosphere, it just means state. And that is the case in the ex-Yugoslavian languages, Država.
As much as I understood, okay? But yeah, let's see what really is.
Slovenian, yeah. Telling those apart is challenging.
Okay, that was a massive fucking failure right there.
I wouldn't say massive, because Slovenian is very similar to the other ex-Yugo languages as well.
Okay.
It does a lot of the same things. Okay, da se objavi... Okay, Jekavski, Ekavski ili Ikavski.
Koliko je vakcinisanih među preminulima od korone i da mu nije jasno zašto to još nije učinjeno. Pitali smo ministra zdravlja kada će
učinjena, Jekavski.
ti podaci biti objavljeni.
Što se tiče...
Okay, so this one is Serbian, I think.
Yeah.
I think it is, and the context, I understood this kind of okay. They were talking about like COVID vaccination or something, and like that some kind of minister of health of some country is gonna speak now.
Mu nije jasno zašto to još nije učinjeno. Pitali smo ministra zdravlja kada će ti podaci.
Yeah, we asked the minister of health to tell us something, whatever. I think it's Serbian. Okay, let's see.
Yep.
Boy, let's go. God is a Serb. Let's go, guys. Let's go. My time in Serbia paid off a little bit because I, to move to Portugal.
Yeah, I mean the thing with the former Yugoslavian languages, except for Macedonian, is that you actually have to have a fairly specific sample or a fairly long sample to really tell them apart, because they do a lot of the same things, and you can have entire paragraphs where they would be basically identical. So that is actually a challenging thing to distinguish in a short clip, because you just have to hope that the distinctive features are there. It's actually easier to tell them apart in writing because Croatian and Serbian don't deal with foreign names the same way. Serbian, when they write in the Latin alphabet, which they often do, will do phonetic spellings of things. Whereas Croatian will spell them the traditional, the way that it's spelled in the language it's from.
Through Serbia, so I've spent some time in Serbia. I've been a couple of times. I see they have Serbian and Croatian mixed in this one, in this tier list. I just realized. I'm gonna speak for Serbian. I don't know if Croatian is gonna come up later, but for Serbian, I would put it in understand it okay. Yeah, I think actually better than Polish. Pretty confusing.
Yeah, I would say I'm not surprised that he says that he understands it better than Polish. They're definitely closer to Russian in a lot of respects, even though they do a lot of different things grammatically because they're Balkan languages.
Okay.
Russian.
This is mine, of course, my beloveds, my, mother tongue, Russian, Ruski.
Yeah, that didn't take any time.
1420 video, that guy who interviews people in the streets in Russia, political questions and stuff. Let's see what they're talking about here.
До 30 лет, чтобы, так сказать, старости избежать и все такое. Но сейчас я понимаю, что это ерунда какая-то. Можно пожить подольше, посмотреть подольше.
That's your... What the fuck? Yeah, what the hell clip is this?
She thought she wanted to die before 30 years old, but now she realizes there's more to live. Average Russian street interview, by the way.
Wow, that is dark.
Talking about like such grave, depressing topics. Incredible.
Okay. Это был русский язык, druhý slovenský, slovenština. I will say I cheated a little bit because I can read that poster, and that is definitely Slovak.
Tam zavítali malí škôlkári zo Žabokriek. Tí sa dozvedeli mnoho zaujímavostí o zvieratkách, ktoré v okolí jazierka žijú.
Žijú tu aj netopiere.
Počujete? Netopiere.
Netopiere.
Okay, I mean, I guess I'm gonna say, I didn't understand anything. I'm gonna be completely honest, like nothing. But clearly the context is some kind of zoo with kids or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is probably Slovak, right? Because it's like kind of like Czech. Also cannot understand shit. And even like looking at the text here, right? It's like
Druhý živočichov.
It's like Druhý živočichov Európskeho významu. So it's like other animals of the European something.
Well, druhý, yeah. But druhý can also mean second.
Let's see. Nice. Got it. I mean, that was like obvious at that point because Czech was already...
Everybody just got tired of coming up with color schemes for flags at some point and just started making everything be bloody red, white, and blue.
In there, so 0 points for me on that one, but honestly, I'd say this one is probably even more insane than Czech for me. So I'm gonna put in the category. Yes, right here, because I didn't understand anything, man. Probably if I read it, I will, but hearing is crazy. Okay.
Činjenicama do nesreće je došlo kada je autobus
Bosnian.
s autoputa na travnatu bankinu.
Bosnian or yeah.
Na relaciji Frankfurt-Priština.
Okay.
Prometnog prevoznika Deva Tours sa sjedištem u Prištini.
First of all, they're talking about something that happens in Kosovo, I guess. I don't know. This has to be Croatian, I guess, because Serbian was already in here.
Yeah, but they said Serbian and Croatian as one flag there. So I'm guessing Bosnian.
This sounds like very Serbian-like. And also, I kind of understood everything because they speak really slowly in this clip. That's the key. They said that there was a bus that, fell off the road onto the side of the roads. And the bus was going from Frankfurt to Pristina in Kosovo. And it was, like, operated by some kind of company from Kosovo. Something like that. Let's see.
Co to je? Bosanský?
Yeah.
Hrvatský.
Good. I don't know, guys. For some reason, Croatian was so easy to understand. If everybody's just gonna speak very slowly, maybe I'm gonna get it. But yeah. Hey. Number 10.
Активіста справа рук спецслужбаў. Гэта яшчэ адна з існуючых версій.
Yeah, you can tell it's Belarusian because you can look at his t-shirt and that isn't that ooh. That isn't that special ooh that only Belarusian has.
Immediately, this is Belarusian, yeah. Another one that will be in the understand it well. I mean, it is also close to Russian, That's us, East Slavs. Belarusian is a really interesting language. It is unfortunately a language that is kind of dying out a little bit because Belarus has been so Russified in the Soviet Union, and right now, still currently, Belarus is basically like a puppet state of Russia. Russian is used.
Although there seem to be interesting developments in that regard. Actually, he had a video on it that Lukashenko was sort of parting ways with Moscow on a couple of things. He said something like, Ukraine has nothing to worry about from us, or something like that. So maybe there's a bit of a division there.
there by the government more than Belarusian. And a lot of young people actually study in Belarusian and trying to keep the language alive. A lot of them who are actually not supportive of Lukashenko and his governments. But yeah, Belarusian is cool. It is actually this shit in the comments, okay? If I'm not gonna get to guess Bulgarian, let's at least listen to it for a little bit and see how well I can understand it.
Международните теми започваме с тежък инцидент. 15 вече са жертвите на тежки инцидент за златодобивна мина в
There's some sort of a mining accident and there are a bunch of victims.
They're talking about Russia, damn. The news is talking about Russia, some kind of incident in Krasnoyarski Krai. Don't know what it is though, but...
15 души са обявени за издирване. Тече мащабна спасително издирване.
Okay, some trees got ripped out, that's what he said, I think.
Операция. Инцидентът се е случил след скъсване на стена на язовир, разположен край мината в Красноярския регион.
Yeah, to a great extent, Russian and Bulgarian have a lot in common. Like Bulgarian does a lot of Balkan things. It has some uniqueness in the world of verbs, but a lot of it is like Russian, but minus the cases. I think it's the only Slavic language other than Macedonian that does not do case marking.
Местните спасителни служби заявиха, че 14 от работниците в мината са хоспитализирани. Десетки...
Okay, like 14 workers of something have been hospitalized. Yeah. The local like rescuers said. Something like that. I mean, okay, I'm actually surprised.
It's interesting to look at the diversity of haircuts in the TV presenters across the Slavosphere.
12 единици техника работят на мястото на инцидента.
Firefighters and rescuers are working at the place. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I'm surprised. Like, I was honestly expecting to put Bulgarian in the category, okay? But actually, I would say I understand it okay, which is strange because Macedonian and Bulgarian, aren't they like similar? But Macedonian seems a lot more difficult to me. I don't know, guys, but Bulgarian is crazy. It's like the weird one out of all these Slavic languages because it has articles apparently, like in...
Yes, but it does a thing that in the region only Romanian really does, which is to put the articles on the end of the words, like a Scandinavian language. I don't know how that particular habit exists on one end of Northern Europe and then skips all the way down to Southern Europe to start again.
English, like a and the, and it actually has no cases, which is kind of like the basis of all Slavic languages. Every single one of the Slavic languages has like a billion different cases and declensions and shit. But apparently,
I mean, nothing compared to Hungarian.
I don't understand how this language could even work without cases being a Slavic.
Oh, because they use prepositions. They use prepositions for all the things that the cases are used. Like instead of родитель не подъешь, genitive case, you say na. And then you have like for the different, and it gets more complicated when you get beyond just possession and things like that. There are lots of different positions that can be used, but they basically just do what languages without explicit case marking do and use a lot of prepositions to make the difference.
Language, but yes, people, this right here is my final rating of how well I can understand Slavic languages. I mean, not very surprising to be honest, right? Especially, given the languages that I can actually understand well, but guys, this is just my opinion. Maybe another Russian person will have it.
Okay, so that was interesting. Okay, so Kevin and Lisa, English for everyone. I think it's time to pay them a little visit. And they're still doing the thing where they slag off non-native English. Oh, and he's just sort of walking around his neighborhood again.
Hello and welcome to English for Everyone.
Oh, and I think I need to adjust the volume there.
Practice real-life American English. Today I'm walking around my neighborhood here in Pacific Grove, California, and we're going to learn some real everyday English. So let's watch a clip.
While I'm walking there, I'm going to point out a few things to you guys, and we'll learn some English along the way.
All right, we're going to learn some English. Let's watch another clip.
Okay. Wait, he didn't have anything to incorrectly correct.
We can get a drink and just come here, relax. Look at the fishes.
Look at the fishes?
I mean, In some regional variants of English, you'll hear people say that. I mean, usually in the context of sleep with.
There is fish, and plural is fish. So we don't say, look at the fishes. We don't say fishes.
We don't say fishes. He's very indignant about this. We don't say fishes.
I mean, if you look in a dictionary, technically it's correct. Scientifically, you can use it like that to talk about different types of fishes.
Yeah, except I don't think that is one area where I don't think I would actually expect to hear it. I don't think that ichthyologists do talk about different types of fishes. I think they talk about different types of fish.
But no one really does. It sounds crazy to say.
I mean, again, you do hear it in some places. Like, I mean, in, like, gangster movies, he's gonna sleep with the fishes tonight, boss. That sort of shit.
It's 1 fish, 2 fish, 100 fish, 1,000,000 fish. Don't say fishes. And he's talking about one type of fish. He's talking about koi. So there are no different types of fish here.
Well, yes, but there are many different... I don't think it's just one fish that lives there. This is not where the fish lives.
Don't say fishes, say fish. Example, there are a lot of fish in the tank.
And this makes me just want to say fishes. Especially since he felt compelled to admit that actually the dictionary does acknowledge it as a less common variant. Yeah, I mean, just the level of indignity he brings to bear at the idea of somebody saying fishes. Because actually, fishes is funny to say. If you use it, you know, if you choose your moments, fishes actually, I mean, that's funny to say. It's fun to say fishes. Fuck it. There are lots of fishes in that image.
In the fish tank. Let's practice.
The tank belonging to the fishes.
Are there a lot of fish in the fish tank?
Yeah, there's many fishes.
That's right, there are a lot of fish in the fish tank.
Always with these really engaging exercises that he comes up with to like help people wrap their heads around these concepts.
Not fishes, but fish. Let's watch another clip.
Here we have a different type of barrier. So this is a fence. This is a metal fence with spikes.
Okay.
On top. Now this you can see through, so it's not for privacy. It's just to discourage people entering this area. So
it's just to discourage people.
That's not wrong. You will hear that.
Entering this area.
I mean, yeah, it's probably more common to say discourage people from entering this area, but it's definitely not wrong.
We cannot say this.
Like I mean, this is what gets me. Because he does this whole thing, and all of these fucking... You look at these thumbnails, it's like, stop learning garbage! You know, like, really, really just getting kind of nasty with these, you know, other English language creators who are actually doing comprehensible input, which he does not really do. And that is not his model, if we're being honest here. He just puts that in there because he knows people are searching for it. But, yeah. So, yeah, he gets, like, stop learning garbage, stop learning nonsense, stop making these mistakes. And the mistakes are often so trivial, they do not get in the way of understanding, and in many cases, they're not strictly speaking mistakes.
We need from.
No, we don't.
We have to use from here.
No, we don't. We can use from. It is very common to use from. It is not mandatory at all.
It's correct to say, it's just to discourage people from entering this area.
That's a weird line read, too. Discourage people as opposed to what?
I have to use from.
He has to use from. You don't.
It's not correct to omit it.
It is correct to omit it. It is also correct to omit it. Now let's do an example. Is it correct to omit it? It is correct to omit it.
We need from here. So there's a fence. Why is there a fence? It's just to discourage people from entering this area.
And impale them if they try.
Let's practice. Why is there a fence?
Well, to help people unload hot merchandise.
That's right. Right, it's just to discourage people from entering this area. Let's watch another clip.
There's not that many malls here. Unlike
is he gonna say, yeah, is he about to give him shit about there's not many? Because, yeah, technically that is incorrect, but it is so common and native speakers do it all the time. And if you're a non-native speaker, don't let anyone give you shit about that. It is technically wrong. It isn't the refined way of speaking, but people do it all the time. Because the thing about the there's construction, the reason it's so common that people do it, including native speakers, is that sometimes you start it out and you're not actually sure how many, whether you're going to have a plural or a singular following it. You might start the sentence and say, thinking you're just going to say one thing, and then it occurs to you there's some additional thing that you also need to mention, and so you'll say theirs, thinking it's singular, and then you end up saying there is this, and then that, and then technically you should have been using the plural, but nobody backs up and does that. Not really.
Or Indonesia or Thailand, where they have malls basically every corner. Here,
they have malls basically every corner?
I mean, again, see, okay. Yeah.
You have to use on in this.
If you were writing this, you would absolutely have to say on. But people omit these things as well. Like, people omit these things when they're in casual speech all the time, and everybody understands what he said. Like,
sentence. You cannot say they have malls basically every corner.
Yeah, well, he didn't. He actually said they have malls, pause, basically every corner. So every corner is sort of being set up as an interval here. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, not, not prescriptively correct. You definitely wouldn't write it this way, but people do this. Native speakers do this. Because in casual speech, people sometimes leave this stuff out, not necessarily intentionally, not for a specific effect, but because they're thinking about what they're trying to say, and that leads to things being omitted that...
It's correct to say they have malls basically on every corner. The idea? Malls are everywhere.
Well, yeah, I think we all got the idea, though.
Let's practice. Do they have malls basically on every corner?
The mall. Yes, the mall. Let's go to the mall. It's right next door to Eat.
That's right, they have malls basically on every corner. Let's watch another clip.
Okay, so this is the cathedral. It's just over here. It's called the Notre Dame Cathedral of Saigon.
Wait, the Notre Dame Cathedral? Damn? Damn.
Wow, he made a joke.
No, we don't say the Notre Dame Cathedral. It's the Notre Dame. We need the I.
I mean, yes, but it's being mispronounced one way or another, so who gives a shit? Like, really.
Hot and stop. Dame. It's the Notre Dame Cathedral. And there's one in Paris, too. This is the Notre Dame Cathedral. It burnt recently, but I think they fixed it.
Actually, I don't know if they actually did. I remember all these billionaires pledged money to fix it, and then when it was all over the news, and then they quietly pulled out when it was no longer making headlines.
The Dame Cathedral, not the Notre Dame Cathedral. Let's practice. What is it called?
I mean, there are motherfuckers who actually say Notre Dame as well, or Notre Dame. Like, we're really gonna nitpick to this level? Really, Kev? Is this what you thought you would be doing with your life? Nitpicking the... Perfectly, like, his English is excellent, actually. In fact, to the extent that I have, in these clips, I've heard him say things where I know he's definitely not a native speaker. But, like, in this clip, I have heard absolutely nothing that would make me think that he wasn't. I mean, even fishes yeah, like, okay, that's borderline. But, like, why do this? Because this isn't even all that low effort. Because you've got to edit it. You've got to put these fucking graphics in. You got to do all this stuff. If you're going to put in this much effort anyway, why not do something engaging? Instead of, like, staring at us dead-eyed and nodding.
Right, it's called the Notre Dame Cathedral. Dame, not dam. And this is a university. And it's spelled the same, but we pronounce it differently. It's in the United States. It's called Notre Dame.
Which I believe it is pronounced that way just to hurt French people.
It's a university, and it's called Notre Dame. Let's practice. What's the name of this university?
Notre Dame.
That's right. It's called Notre Dame. The church is Notre Dame, and the university is Notre Dame.
Unless, I mean, if you really just want to take the piss, you can always just call both of them Notre Dame.
And neither one are pronounced damn.
Oh, I mean, you might as well. I mean, if you're not going to pronounce it correctly anyway, you might as well.
All these are individual bookstores.
Oh, neat.
If you're a big reader, this is the spot to come. It's really cool.
If you're a big reader, this is the spot to come. We say this is a...
Okay, I see. I see, and yeah, I mean, okay, that one is fair. But I can see where he got it, because we say this is the place to go. We don't say this is the place to go to, for the most part. We say this is the place to go, but then, yeah, this is the... Yeah, if you say this is the place to come, that does not... Let me think about that a second. See, the thing is, when you nitpick on this level, it actually makes you start doubting your own instinct. Like, could you say this is the
spot to come to? We put to at the end. So if you're a big reader, this is a spot to come to. That sounds better. Let's practice.
But again, I mean, the other thing here is, and this is a criticism a lot of people have made of this content, you know, is they don't do... They're using all this just casual speech, and everybody, you know, everybody fucks up a little bit in casual speech. Nobody is in casual speech trying to have, like, perfect grammatical correctness, no matter how they write or how they present, if they're doing something scripted that they've, you know, prepared remarks or whatever. I mean, I feel like one of the things, I mean, apart from just, like, this whole, this deeply unengaging content, just how wild it is that he just does this exact same thing every single fucking time. But there's also just, I feel like this is going to make people who are non-native English speakers feel less confident in speaking, and that is directly counterproductive. Although, on the other hand, if you make people feel less confident about their speaking ability, that is certainly one way you can pick up money from them.
If you're a big reader, is this the spot to come
to? Yeah, but we would, I mean, really, thinking about it, you'd really say this is the place to go. Or this is the spot. You could say this is the spot.
That's right. If you're a big reader, this is the spot to come to. Let's watch another clip.
We're going to the War Remnants Museum right now. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the War Remnants Museum. So, and remnants means what's left over.
Remnants?
Well, yeah, he said that twice, and then he said it as 2 syllables a third time.
Remnants? Is he pronouncing the word remnants? Let's watch it again.
Wow, like, you exposed him. He pronounced it remnants. I'm so glad we have this kind of investigative journalism in the language space. He said remnants, and now we're going to roast him for
Remnants
it.
Museum. Remnants means what's left over. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the War Remnants Museum. So,
yeah, he's saying remnants. The word is pronounced.
Ooh, wow! He said you got him. You fucking got him.
It's 2 syllables. Remnants. It's not 3 remnants. No, it's 2 remnants. And remnants are things left over.
Oh, yeah, he got that right. You weren't correcting him there. He said he defined it correctly.
Example. They tore down the building. They demolished the building, but there are still remnants of the building. Things left over. Things left over. Remnants. Not remnants.
I mean, it is just so amazingly petty. Ciao a tutti. Ciao, Atta, come stai?
But remnants. Let's practice. Are there still remnants of the old building?
No, there aren't.
That's right, there are still remnants of the old building. Let's watch another clip.
I love he makes absolutely okay. He's in Southern California. I believe that's Southern California. There are pretty places that you could use as a backdrop for this, and he doesn't. He just steps out and stands at an intersection, and not even a particularly edifying one to look at.
Here you can get a better look. They're up there cutting down the trees. They go up there with a chainsaw, and they use a chainsaw to cut down those trees.
What is he gonna have to? What is he gonna say is wrong with that?
They're cutting down the trees?
Oh, are you saying they aren't? I think he probably he was there. He might have some idea. Now, that might not... Okay, here's the thing. This is an example where we're getting into actually just pragmatics. Because maybe that's not actually what they're doing. Maybe they are trimming the trees, and he misunderstood and thought they were cutting them down. Or they were in fact cutting them down. But what he said, linguistically, is only wrong if you have an alternative account of what was going on with those particular fucking trees. Yeah, I mean, what I think he's about to say, I guess we're about to find out, is that actually they're trimming them. But the thing is, when you cut down trees, a lot of the time you take the branches off first anyway, so that it's more predictable how it falls. So, I mean, this comes down to what your impression is of what they're doing.
They're using a chainsaw to cut down the trees?
Yes, that's, as you do.
They're not cutting down any trees. They're
Well, you don't know that. They could just be trimming them, or they could be about to cut them down. You actually do a lot of the same things in both cases, and which is correct is going to depend on your knowledge of what's happening, and I think he probably knows better than you, Kevin.
trimming the trees. They're cutting off branches. That's not cutting down a tree.
But you cut off branches also when you're cutting them down a lot of the time. It makes it easier to take them down.
They're trimming the trees.
That's another possibility. Like, this is a really fucking... Of all the things, this is just the pettiest. Because you'd have to actually go back in a couple hours, or maybe a couple of days, depending on how quickly they do it, to know whether that tree is still standing after all this.
Trimming the trees, or are they cutting down the trees?
We don't know, but he seems to think they're cutting them down.
Trees. This is cutting down. He's cutting down a tree. Because the tree goes down. The whole...
Yeah, except this is not the only way to cut down a fucking tree. It isn't just a dude with, like, braces and an axe. Sometimes they use chainsaws. And they use wires to have it come down in an orderly fashion and not kill anybody. And in order to make that easier, you take off a whole bunch of branches first.
Tree. That's cutting down a tree. Let's practice. Is he cutting down a tree?
Like, this is just wrong. I mean, yeah, that is cutting down a tree. That is what this, cartoon dude is doing. But to suggest that... I mean, this makes it seem like the only way you cut down a tree is with an axe, and that's not true.
That's right, he's cutting down a tree. Let's watch some more clips.
I feel like I want to eat some pho, so I'm going to go meet up with my brother right now, and we're going to go eat some Vietnamese pho. most likely beef pho.
Pho?
What, he's gonna correct his Vietnamese pronunciation? Is that what you're gonna do now? Is this now also Vietnamese for everyone with Kevin and Lisa?
Beef pho? This food is not called pho. It's called pho.
He's correcting his Vietnamese. I mean, and yes, it is true that O with that little thing on the side there is an sound, and it has a rising falling intonation, pho. But I would imagine, like, if you asked random people who are not Vietnamese speakers how you pronounce that, like, just native English speakers who are looking at it on a fucking takeout menu, a lot of them probably would also say pho. Yes, it is, so, like, yeah, it is actually more correctly pronounced pho, but, I mean, what the fucking nitpicking, the pettiness of this, why?
We use the short sound like cup and up, not the long O like no and go.
It's not a short sound, though. That's not even right. It's an sound.
It's not pho, it's pho. It looks like pho, but it's not. It's pronounced pho. Let's watch some clips.
Hey, after work tonight, you want to grab some pho?
Sarge, we're gonna go get pho.
Hey, want to get some pho?
Well, he's got clips for this.
My personal favorite is the beef pho, but...
And this is pho. It's a kind of Vietnamese soup. I don't really like pho, but what do you think? Is it very popular? Leave a message in the comments. Let me know what you think about pho. Is it good? Is it healthy?
Like... Jesus. This fucking guy.
Let me know in the comments. Let's watch another clip.
Over here we have a trash can. I really like to see this all over the city because it means you can easily throw your garbage away and not have to throw it on the floor. I mean, personally, I'm not throwing...
Yeah, okay. He's gonna say, oh no, you gotta say the ground. And yeah. But, like, if this is what you're reduced to correcting, what you're saying is he doesn't really say a lot of things that you could absolutely say are wrong. Because I've heard native speakers do that. Especially in casual speech. People that think of, they say the floor and they mean the ground. Or something like that. Or they say the ground and they mean the floor. People do that. People just fucking misspeak. It's a normal thing. He's gonna go out. He's gonna have a go at him for that now, is he? Like, if those are the kind of corrections you're trying to make content out of, Kev, maybe you need to be, like, correcting somebody else. Like,
on the floor.
or maybe, like, make other content. You're putting comprehensible input in the title of your videos now. Why not actually just do comprehensible input? Do videos like you're already walking around. Like, do videos where you just talk about stuff that you see when you're walking around. Or something.
Throw it on the floor? What is he talking about? The floor is inside.
What is he talking? You know what he's fucking talking about. Because we've all made this fucking... we all misspoken in this way.
Inside your house or any building, it's the floor. But if you're outside...
Yeah, do you really think that he doesn't know the difference between the floor and the ground, though, Kev? Do you? Do you really?
It's not the floor, it's the ground.
No shit.
So you throw trash on the ground if you're outside. And that's what he's talking about. He's talking about outside. So don't...
Yes, he's talking about it. Like, fucking hell. Shut up.
Or if you're talking about
Shut up, Kevin.
Ground. So apparently, people throw trash on the ground. Let's practice. Do people throw trash on the ground?
Like, well, that looks more like it's coming up off the ground at him. It's like he's using telekinesis to do some sort of fantasia with all the fucking trash.
That's right. People throw trash on the ground. It's not good. It's called littering. Thank you for watching and practicing with me, and keep watching for more. And first I want to say, today we're learning English. We're not learning textbook English. We're not learning classroom English. We're learning real-life English. And this is just wrong.
This right here is paper towel.
Christ, I think we've seen this before. I think what he's now doing is taking old content, adding a few minutes of him standing around outside correcting people, and probably editing out a lot of neighbors like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you standing in the middle of the street correcting people's grammar badly? I want to see the outtakes. I think they might be delicious. But instead, he's like, and then he's just clipping it onto stuff he already did. Because I feel almost certain that I saw this thing with the paper towel.
This paper towel for me. This paper towel is white.
I cannot say this right here is paper towel. This is paper towel?
Yes, this is paper towel. It is being held by Dickhead.
I cannot say this. We say, this is a roll of paper towels. Or I can say, this is a paper towel. But this is...
Well, people also say this is paper towels. Or this is some paper towels. People say that. English teachers might not approve of it, but people say that.
Paper towel? Let's look at the difference. This is a paper towel. It's one. It's singular, so I say This is a paper towel. But this is a roll.
Skipping ahead because I'm curious.
This is a checked luggage.
Yeah, we've seen this. He is totally just repackaging old content to appear to be making new videos without actually making new videos. That is so Kevin. Just doing the absolute bare minimum. Packing my bags in versus packing out of my closet versus... Yeah. Yeah, he's already uploaded this. This video is just a fucking rerun. Like a callback to some of the true highlights of the Kevin and Lisa experience. Wow. That is... Fucking hell. Fucking hell. Like, doing the bare minimum there. Not even. Okay. Now, this is a channel I've never heard of. I think we'll finish out the stream with this. This is Chiara Language Freak. Fluency by Frequency. Not familiar with the channel. Showed up in my recs, and the title looked interesting. It looks promising. So we're gonna have a look. I'm gonna drop the link.
This is for you. Why can you live somewhere for years and still...
Okay, copio videon URL osoite. Okay, yeah. Here we go. It looks like we need to turn the volume up a little bit now.
Feel like a tourist in that language. You go to the supermarket, you navigate the city. Sometimes you may even dare order a coffee in the local language, but of course...
What I just don't get is how the hell do they have so many subscribers? How are people subscribing to... There's so much better English language content out there, including, like, virtually everybody that they are, like, nitpicking for clicks. Nitpick for clicks. That's what you could call their channel, actually. It would be better than the title that they have. Like, they have fucking 6 figures numbers of subscribers, and this is the quality of what they do. That is what I don't understand. How do they have so many people who want to watch this? I can't get through an entire video, even when I'm hate watching it.
There is something that never quite clicks, because the language feels more like a coat that you put on in the morning. It's functional, it's useful, it works somehow, but it never really feels yours. Most people assume that the fix is more lesson, more, I don't know, strikes. We know what we are talking about. More grammar exercises, more vocabulary lists.
Okay, this is an interesting topic. If the she's talking about here, if the language does not feel like your own, like if it feels like something that you are just sort of putting on, and I think that is an interesting topic. We're talking about like the psychology of language acquisition, And I think that, you know, there's a lot of interesting stuff to say about that. I'm interested to hear more.
But what if the problem was actually your brain? Because most probably it's your brain that is actively, quietly working against your progress to save energy. Why does it happen, and how to move past it into something?
Okay, I'm interested in working against your progress to save energy. Well, yeah, he was outside for the first... That's what he's doing. He's going out in his driveway for the first 7 minutes of the video. And then he goes... well, and that guy, he does numbers. That is what I don't understand this. I do not understand this space. Like, am I not boring enough? If I were more boring, would I do numbers too? Because you know he's got some ad revenue coming off of that.
Thing that linguists call the perma-store, which is a place where you stop studying a language and you actually start living it. Most people treat the language we are learning.
I have never heard of the perma-store.
So they practice at set times, they use apps or textbooks, they study on the train, they close the app once they arrive to their destination, and then they go back to their real life, which happens in their native language, or in another language that is more comfortable to them.
Okay, so yeah, so it's like essentially when a particular language is just a thing for a specific occasion rather than being, you know, fully integrated. Interesting.
Real progress, however, happens when the language stops being homework and becomes part of you. Not something you study,
I would agree.
but something you actually use.
I mean, the challenge, of course, is how you get there.
Of course, this change is harder than it sounds. And to understand why, we need to dig a little bit into what happens in your brain when you start studying a new language. I have a friend who has lived in Amsterdam for like 8 years. We are both Italian, and he told me a few days ago that every time he goes to a supermarket, he still checks the French label on products instead of the English one. This makes, of course, a perfect sense because, I mean, French and Italian are very similar language.
Yeah, I mean, and of course the thing is, if you're used to, you can just sort of immediately, especially with visual things, your eyes will just sort of settle where your eyes settle. It's actually why, like, for example, I find English subtitles when I'm watching Korean or Japanese dramas to be really distracting. Because I'm trying to listen, but my eyes can't really unsee the fact that there is English written there, and then, because the word order is totally different, where the subtitles are and where the speeches are two different places, and it like confuses the hell out of me. I have to close my eyes if I want to really hear what they're saying if there are English subs on.
We share Latin roots, many words are alike, and the sentence flow in similar ways. So when you speak Italian, you can usually understand written French without many problems. Dutch is different, of course, it feels harder. But
definitely does not feel like Italian.
He has been studying Dutch. He understands actually pretty much, because I made him go to an event organized by the journalist collective Follow the Money in Dutch, and he was able to follow pretty much of it, and it was really technical vocabulary. So his passive knowledge is quite remarkable, but the active one, this small habit actually shows something bigger.
Okay. I'm interested.
It's not really about French, but it shows that Dutch still feels like something he's studying and not part of his identity. Of course, our brain.
Okay, I think that does actually make sense there. Although I think this particular example has a lot to do with your eyes kind of settle where your eyes settle. And it's easy to get into the habit if your eyes are just kind of settling immediately on, say, the French label or whatever. Oh, sorry to hear that you're nauseous and have a headache. I hope that goes away quickly. But, that can just be a visual habit that you just, if you want to try to adjust that, you just adjust that by making a concerted effort to look in a different direction. But it can be a representative of something bigger, certainly.
It's very lazy, or better. We can see it from two different points of view. I mean, we can see, on a hand, we can think our brain is very lazy. On the other hand, we can think our brain has a particular talent for energy savings. As an Italian, when we see two options, a Dutch label and a French one, the brain doesn't really say, well, you live in Amsterdam, so Dutch is more relevant. Nope. I mean,
yeah, well, yeah, it goes for what feels the most familiar, I think, is where she's going, and I think there's some truth to that, definitely.
it asks one simple question: which one is easier? And of course, for an Italian speaker, French will always be the first choice. How can we switch it? Unless your brain has a good reason to choose Dutch, we need a clear sign that it matters. It won't bother.
Okay. A clear sign. Interesting.
As we said, it's a matter of identity, and more specifically, it's a matter of the self-reference effect. To make this video, I made some research and I discovered something interesting. It's something that actually I have...
Okay. The self-reference effect. Now I'm quite curious. I'm not familiar with this.
...had realized empirically, and which is the base of my method. But now I have the evidence that I was actually right and my method actually scientifically works. In the late 70s, 3 psychologists ran an interesting experiment. They showed people a list of words and asked them different kinds of questions about each
word. Okay. Is this the study, I think, where in order to remember the words, if they like made up stories, if they remembered the words in reference to something about themselves, they found it is easier to integrate the words into the vocabulary or something like that.
People got questions like, is this word in capital letters? Others were asked, does this word rhyme with another word? Some others were asked about this meaning. For example, is this word similar to another word? But one group got a different one because they were asked, does this word describe you? Later, when they tested everyone's memory, actually the group who answered the personal questions...
Okay, this isn't the exact same study, but it is along the same lines as the one that I'd heard about. Okay, now I...
...remembered far more words than all the others. Is it surprising? For me, it's not. They didn't work harder, they just connected the words to themselves, to their own life and identity. So when your brain links new information to things it already cares about, for example, you...
yeah.
Exactly.
That makes a lot...
it remembers better.
That makes a lot of sense.
Which is why, in my monthly programs, I always focus on making you speak about what you need or what you like, because it's anyway something that matters to you. Either you want it or you have to. No.
Yeah, I mean, I would add, something that is out of your life, is something, something that is actually relevant to your life. If you can put it into that kind of a context, it becomes a lot easier as well.
Think about how most language learning happens. For example, think about the last the last traditional group course you had. You see it often with vocabulary lists. You encounter words...
Yeah, and conjugation tables and all of that fairly useless stuff.
Let's say stripped of context sometimes, but in general, they are often unconnected to your real life. For example, all the time we spend talking about stationery in schools. I mean, you memorize all these things for a test or for a class, and
Questa è la matita.
Of course. Well, now, try to imagine a word that really comes to your mind very quickly. Ask yourself why it comes to your mind so quickly.
Dinner, and it's because I'm getting hungry.
Most probably, it's because you learned it as a consequence of something that happened to you. For example, it can be...
Yeah, it's interesting. Because we were just talking about this yesterday. Because the guy, Gabriel, I forget his last name, something with a Y, but he was talking about learning a learning a word from an experience involving disgusting fermented fish alcohol experience in Sweden.
But you need it in a real conversation. You fumbled it and someone laughed, and so you never forgot it again. Or a word tied to a place, for example, the name of a dish you had at the restaurant.
I've always liked spifferare, which is like to blab. To say, to say something that you were supposed to actually keep quiet about. Because it's sort of a funny word to say when you look at it, because it looks like you say spifferate and then you have spiff, which is somehow a very funny word in English, I find.
Restaurant, or something you saw on a sign the first time you visited a city that matters to you. That's not actually coincidence. That's the
I'll just write it in chat. That'll be easier. spifferare. You know, like if you're saying like, don't put this about, don't, don't. Yeah, exactly, Atta. Like, non spifferarlo in giro, which means like, don't go telling people about this. Just sort of, or. Sì, è andato in questura e ha spifferato tutto. He went to the cops and he told them everything. He blabbed everything.
Self-reference effect that it's doing its job. The brain stores things differently when they are attached to something which is personally meaningful. My friend has been learning Dutch for quite a long time, but he hasn't been living in Dutch yet. And these are...
There is very good tea to be had. I find it's harder to find it in the US. I didn't really drink it before going to Britain. Yeah, I didn't really see the appeal of it, because apparently they hoard all the really good tea. Although we found some decent stuff here. If you check back in the Discord a little bit, I will will find what the brand is that I have upstairs that I'm drinking right now. I never remember. It's something every day, but I'll pop that into the Discord for you.
Two very different things. Two other researchers, Bonnie Norton and Zoltan Dernier, found that who you see yourself as plays a surprisingly big role in whether a language actually sticks.
Yeah.
To extremely simplify the
Yeah, I would agree totally with that. That definitely makes a lot of sense, because the more these things are integrated into your personality, the more it's just part of what you do, and you have thoughts in it and you experience things in it and stuff like that, the easier it is going to be to make progress, because then it's just a function of, it's a thing that you do. It isn't something you have to do, make time and to do deliberately.
There are two positions that a learner can take. So the first is you can choose to be an outsider. So you take the outsider position. You see the language as something that belongs to other people, and Dutch is the language that they speak here, but I don't live here. I'm not attached to this place. You're learning to access it, to get by, to communicate when necessary, but it exists outside you. The second one is the speaker position. The language is just part of how you exist in the world.
Yeah.
You don't translate into it, but you actually...
Okay, we're not going to get to look at this whole thing, but this looks excellent. I've never seen this channel before in my recommendations, but I'm going to be subscribing. This is Chiara, Language Freak, Fluency by Frequency. Okay. And I'm going to just drop the link in chat again. Thank you to everyone who joined in the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you stay tuned in the Discord, I will drop the name of that tea in case anyone wants it. I find it quite good. And I will be back at 4:30 p.m. US Eastern Time on Friday. I look forward to